everybody, and welcome back to 3-2 Brew. We are going to be running through a 3-match testing period for pre-fire with pre-fire Sligh, or Burn, whatever you want to fancy it. This is not like pre-modern Sligh in the sense that it is mono red. We're taking the Boros one for a walk. I've only ever attended one Friday Night Magic in my entire life for my local store when I lived in PA. And it was a modern Friday Night Magic, and I scraped together modern Burn, had to buy myself some fetch lands. And I took it for a run, and I did terribly. I didn't know Living End was a thing. I didn't really understand how it worked. I didn't know how my goblin guides worked, and luckily enough, the people at the store were nice enough to take some patience and time with me and kind of explain it. But yeah, it was an interesting experience. It was before MH2, and I think MH1 was kind of the hot craze. It was post Hogak ban, so it was a little different, but this is a very, very similar list to what I had originally put together. There's some changes in it that are very nice that I prefer. One being that we have Grim Lavamancer in the main board. This is a list I took from a top 8 on mtgtop8.com and just modified because I honestly couldn't remember all the cards. And I deleted my modern burn list from Moxfield on my primary, or my personal account, I should say. But I went through and looked, and I saw Grim Lavamancer getting ran as a 1 or 2 of, and I prefer Grim Lavamancer from my time playing in pre-modern. So I sat down and, just kind of mocked up a list, took a copy and paste in, and just tweaked it a little bit here or there. This is pretty much what I had, I believe, though. Some changes for sure. Skullcrack, I don't think was in my main board originally, but that was in the main board of this. But this is Burn or Sligh, however you prefer to refer to it as. You'll hear me refer to it as both throughout the video because my brain's very smooth like that. You have an awesome creature suite in pre-fire when it comes to this archetype. Goblin Guide's just the ultimate haste 2/2 beater. I have an old frame foil of these. I think it was like a Love Your LGS or a 30-year promo or something. Scooped them up. They were dirt cheap. Cool card. One of the reasons I wanted to try modern, honestly, because I bought that card set. So 4 of them, 2 Lavamancer. This is more of a flex spot in this deck, but I really see a ton of upside. And also, I'm okay if people burn a Fatal Push on this because it's not as impactful in this format, but it can run away in certain instances. So I like Grim Lavamancer a ton. Monastery Swiftspear is a Konzatarkir All-Star. Love this card, love playing with it. I played with it quite a bit in Pioneer when I played some burn lists, so really familiar with this card, and I enjoy it a ton. 4 of here. And a 4 of Eidolon the Great Rebel. I have 2 of these IRL that are actually Russian that I bought from a store employee. He bought all of his cards in a different language. I guess it's an old modern trick or whatever you want to call it, but yeah, this is a sweet card. You're going to cast a spell with mana cost 3 or less, deals 2 damage to him. It's like Pyrostatic Pillar, I believe is the name of it. It's a card I enjoy a lot, so no complaints from me. The major divergence of this deck from the pre-modern version and my time speaking to Iron Lungs is that this deck operates much more at sorcery speed than the pre-modern equivalent, which is almost entirely instant speed. And there's a lot of theory behind that. If anyone has any questions and you're on the Discord, feel free to reach out to Iron Lungs. He should give you some tips, I assume. But I'm running 4 Lava Spike here, so this is a build your own sorcery speed Lightning Bolt, which we're also running 4 of. I have 4 Rift Bolts, which is just a classic. Also, this art on it is just so good. This Modern Masters art, I don't know why, it just really does it for me. And 4 Skewer the Critics, which again, I'm used to from playing Pioneer. So these are kind of like a build your own Lightning Bolt at a very slow speed. And then we got 4 Boros Charm. I'm personally very impressed with this card. My time playing with this card, it feels extremely powerful. Pioneer Burn really suffers from the lack of fetch lands. Fetch Shock is a free bolt for you. So when people aren't fetch shocking all the time, then your burn deck gets worse. Your Sligh deck, whatever you want to call it. So 4 Boros Charm, 2 Helix. Lightning Helix is an interesting flex spot here. I think it's a possible debate to have 3 of them and have no Skullcrack in the main. But I'm just running Skullcrack as a 1 of right now just to see how she plays. I enjoy it. And then 4 Searing Blaze. This is where you're going to see me most likely screw up the most. And it's where I screwed up the most when I played in paper the one time. There's only 19 lands in this deck. You don't need many lands to operate. And there's also only 5 fetchables, but you have a total of 7, 10 fetch lands. So half your mana base is fetch lands, and only, what, a quarter of them, a little bit more, are fetchables. So it's a very interesting balance. You don't want the game to go that long, obviously, which is this deck is low down and meant to beat you into the ground. So you're going to see me most likely screw up the most with this card and not have a land in hand when I need to have a land in hand. So can't win them all, but I do enjoy Searing Blades. It's a very cool card design. I enjoy it a ton. So we also have a sideboard here that I put together, a little bit more tuned for this format. I got 2 Grafdigger's Cages. So this is, again, here to shut down Pod and Looting Flashbacks and Dredge and Green Sun Zenith and all the different stuff, like Coco even, that people like to do. I like to Coco myself, but what it's here for: 3 paths for spot removal, 2 Rest in Peace, which is my other half of like graveyard removal section, essentially. 3 Searing Bloods. I really enjoy this card. I think it's great. Don't know if the 2 damage is really enough to get there in this format with what runs around as creatures, but I'm interested to see personally. 1 more Skullcrack on the side. 2 Smash to Smithereens, which I might want to see more of in the future, just because of the power level that is associated with it. And there is, a handful of artifacts that run around that are very good. But we also have Wear Tear. And Wear Tear is just fantastic. You can destroy an artifact or enchantment or both through the fuse mechanic. So I really enjoy Wear Tear as a card. I think it's fantastic. And I'm excited to get some more reps with it here. So yeah, this deck is meant to beat you into the ground. It's a little bit different of a playstyle than pre-modern, but it's the same theory. It has a little bit more nuances, and it moves slower from the way that it works. And it plays less creatures in general as well. So very excited to see how it goes. I have high hopes for this deck. I assume this deck is very powerful, especially as the format's beginning to beginning to burgeon and starting to find its roots, and people are starting to dive into deck archetypes. It's still very young, so I assume this deck will be very powerful because it's a known archetype. It's a point to build off of. I haven't ran it much, even though I know it's probably a good deck because I've just been exploring and having fun. But today, let's bring it to you. This is going to be pre-fire Sligh, and before I go any further, thank you everyone who watches, anyone who leaves a comment. I really, really appreciate you. Aragorn, I believe, has been commenting a ton. Huge shout out to you, yo. Love having a chat with anyone. And those who left some comments on timestamps of misplays and whatnot. I love that as well because it's good feedback, and I get to share my thoughts. And if you don't think they're correct, argue with me. I'm never going to be mad about it. So yeah, thank you everybody who watches and leaves a comment. And let's hop on in now. Well, we're on the play here, which is going to be quite a blessing for this deck, I believe. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to fetch Basic Mountain. Yeah, I'm going to fetch Basic Mountain, and I'm going to play Rift Bolt. Actually, I don't know what the correct way to do this is. This is a difficult one to decide on. Do I want to develop the Grim Lavamancer, or do I want to get Rift Bolt online, followed up by an Eidolon? I'm still going to fetch regardless. I have Sacred Foundry in my hand. So I'm going to go grab Mountain. Yeah, I'm going to develop Rift Bolt. My thought process behind that is we need time for the Grim Lavamancer to get online. Okay, Raging Ravine and tapped. Interesting. Is this Jund? Okay. Cast that, dealing 3 up top. Okay. What I'm going to do here is then I'm going to develop Lavamancer and Goblin Guide. Scoos. So this is probably Jund, if I had to guess. Okay. Scoos is going to be a tough one for us. We can Lightning Helix it, though. Alright, a Bob. Interesting. I don't think I'm interested in allowing them the card advantage here. And I believe I'm just going to move in and attack with the Goblin Guide. There's a Crypt into their hand. And I'm going to shock in Sacred Foundry. And I'm going to Eidolon. Which should put quite a thumping on their deck. The next turn I have Helix and Skewer as a minimum. Weird text on that Verdant Catacombs. See if they shock in here. Just a forest, okay. Got the Scoos down. Okay. Land here would be pretty nice, actually. Okay, so it instantly eats. I can Lightning Helix that? Ooh. No, I think this is a position where we Lightning Helix. And then I turn everyone sideways. Alright, GG's. I know this must be a bit frustrating. I'm sorry, Roboton, if you don't like playing against Burn. Or Sligh, whatever you prefer. Huh, Path to Exile is interesting here. We do kind of want to knock a lot of their stuff out. Artifact or Enchantment, not huge. Path to Exile. I think I would prefer Searing Blood in this situation. What would I prefer it over is the real question. Probably Skullcrack. And then Boros Charm. Lightning Helix is very good. Bolt. Definitely not coming out. I like Lavamancer. I think that the low-down creatures may be worse here. Maybe this is a spot where we want to get rid of Grim Lavamancer. Because they're going to have removal and potential graveyard hate. I'm not sure if that's the correct move here or not. Although Grim Lavamancer helps eat the graveyard a bit. Let me grab a Goblin Guide and let me grab a Monastery Swift Spear, actually. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I don't like giving completely up on like the graveyard game plan. So I don't know historically how this match actually lines up. It's a rather interesting concept in my personal opinion. Guide and Swift Spear? I think this is a keepable hand. If I had to say so. I love these full art lightning bolts. Thinking about picking them up in real life. All good, yeah? Don't want to develop an Inspiring Vantage yet. I will develop a Goblin Guide, though. Build your own shock. So they put that into their hand. Very nice for them. Next turn, we can drop Inspiring Vantage, Swift Spear, plus Lightning Bolt. Okay, they take the shock damage off the tomb. An interesting play. Swift Spear? Okay. Attack with all creatures. So we know they got a Catacombs. There's a Blooming Marsh. They're just getting all sorts of love here. Let's see if they want to Abrupt Decay something. Okay. No pressure then. No pressure to actually get the bolt off. We'll hold it just in case something pesky comes down here. But this is representing 10 points of damage in my hand. That they can, fortunately for them, not counter. They've gotten some nice hits off the Goblin Guide. I've only ever played this one time in paper. It wasn't this exact deck. Alright, there's a Goyf. Do I care about that? I guess I don't have to care this exact moment, do I? I can bolt up top. Use my mana efficiently. See what I draw. Inspiring Vantage. Okay. Let's see if they'll take a block here. There's a push. Okay. They don't want the push. Okay. Okay. I'm going to just let that pass on through then. Sorry, everyone. I'm thinking pretty hard here, actually. I got Boros Charm into Bolt. I like to see them develop another creature if at all possible. There's that Catacombs we know about. Interesting, they didn't play the Blooming Marsh anywhere in there. Okay, basics. Bloodbraid Elf. That's fantastic, actually. Okay. Let's see what they take here. Probably Searing Blood is what I would take if I were them. But I'd like to see them make the choice. Searing Blood is removal plus a bolt. Plus I have another bolt, and the next bolt I draw. They're in quite the pickle here. I could have responded, but I want to see what their decision making is. Yeah, smart move. Okay. So they're in for 7 here. I'm going to shoot a bolt up top. I'm going to hold the Boros Charm just in case. I really mucked about with that one, didn't I? Just going to deal 4 up top here. Go and fetch. Just a mountain. Drop down an Eidolon. This is more as a chump blocker, but at the same time, they're at a point where they have to develop and actually get on with it, you know? They've fetched away the push. They cast a 3-drop, then they're dust. They can't attack with both. They can attack with the Goyf. But if they attack with both, I just don't block. I go to 5. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Bloody hell. Okay. I'm gonna lay down a block here on this glyph. Having to burn that fetch land because of inefficient mana use prior was a bit painful. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna line up a block here. I need a fetch land or another spell. Always had it. GG's. Well, good games, good match. Sorry, everyone, I was pretty focused in there. So we took down Junt. No complaints there. Always happy to, get a W and felt pretty good. It's definitely some tough decision points that I got to get better at, but let's hop on into the next one. On the play against Ban Island. Sentiment I can feel. I respect. Got a ton of love for it. So we're going to keep this. This is a very nice looking hand. We have our 1-2 with Searing Blaze on the backup here. Slam down a nice little Goblin Guide and keep it pushing. See if they got a Fatal Push for me or not. They may as well let me attack if I do. Alright, it's a Bloodbraid Elf. Probably against the ye old Jund strategy. Alright, there's a push. Another matchup here versus the good old Jund. Ooh, they got a Grove for me. Ooh. It's a good day. That is a beautiful day. I'm actually just going to start with a Monastery Swift Spear and a Lava Spike. And just see if they want to tussle with this or not. Very nice. Hit the Goyf. We'll get to turn them sideways here. The Goyf's going to come down pretty thick, pretty hefty. Okay, P-Fire. Wooded Foothills. We're gonna just quickly Searing Blaze the Dark Confidant, and then we're gonna fetch and go snag a mountain, and we'll suspend a Rift Bolt here. And we'll keep it pushing. All right, Verdant Catacombs. Strong chance they're gonna have a Bloodbraid Elf here. Having the Bob stick around is nice for us, don't get me wrong, but I'm just trying to be as mana efficient as possible at this point. And I didn't want them getting any kind of crazy advantage against us. We just have to survive long enough here. Luckily, this version of Sligh 2 doesn't absolutely rely on the necessity side of stuff. Interesting here. They got the Skoos to eat. This allows them to gain life. I think... Let's see, they got 1, 2 more in, so they could eat. I'm just going to send a Rift Bolt up top. That's why we do it. Just going to suspend another one and keep it pushing. They can get some damage in on us here. They can go up to 8. We have them before with the Charm +2/2 or +3/3. So we have a total of 10 damage here. Which if they can outrace that, power to them. Not going to knock them for it. But I am just going to snap a Boros Charm off, I think. Ban Island is just an awesome username. Whether your stance on Island is a positive or a negative one, it's still super sick. Yep, go ahead. You can have the guide. Every Grove, the first activation for us negates the necessary need for like their damage that they do. This foiling is crazy on here now. I ain't even seen this. Shoop, shoop. Crazy stuff. Boros Charm's going to go up top. They're going to be able to be at 4 max. I'm going to, whatchamacallit, Rift Bolt. All right, Scoos gets in. Paying their cost to pump. Yep, P-Fire trigger goes on the stack. Yeah, they're getting their good eats in. Looks like they kind of mana screwed here, which is unfortunate for them. Maybe they have another land second main. End step, I'm just going to Boros Charm up top. Rift Bolt comes off suspend. Okay. Send that up top. Drop a Goblin Guy, get it done on the ground here, maybe get some more info. Interesting. Olivia Voldaren. GG's. Sorry, my dog's down on the ground licking. Okay. That's a wild setup. So they're pretty heavy on it. I do think Searing Blood's going to have some good run here. I don't think Path to Exile is necessary. We're going to take the Boros or the Skullcrack out. They're going to have pushes, so I think that pieces like Monastery Swiftspear are going to be generally worse. I actually think it's probably Grim Lavamancer that's going to be worse. They also eat the Graveyard. Yeah, I'll take Grim Lavamancer. I think my other 1-drops are just going to have better overall run. Alrighty. Ooh, it's not what we're looking for. That's a 5-lander. 19-land deck. We're going to have to toss it to the old moly here. Alright, much better. Keep that. Put Sacred Foundry to the bottom. Say yes. We have a turn 1 play. I do like seeing a turn 1 creature when able. Okay, flash in the Crypt. Thoughtseize? Inquisition? Inquisition. Probably going to take Lava Spike here. That's what I would take personally. Boros Charm. They would value the damage. Interesting. Well, that just makes my decision tree so much easier. So now I can get in with Goblin Guide. Reveals Kolaghan's command. It's going to be nasty when it needs to be here, but they took their own Boros Charm the hard way, kind of. The shock. Another shock, okay. Abrupt Decay? Look at them using the banger lands, too. I'm just going to get in here and attack and see what else we can reveal. Okay, gave them a land. They would like to Abrupt Decay. Now is the time to do so. Okay, they're going to P-Fire instead. I'm going to suspend Rift Bolt. I'm going to go grab myself a nice little Bloodstained Mire. Next turn, they're hit for 9, at least. Very interesting layout here, though. I'm not 100% sure about, like, P-Fire and Jund, to be real. You know, if they hit me with a discard here, I'm probably going to discard a land. There's a Bob. Okay. We don't hate Bob. We're A-okay with Bob. To be honest with you. Just going to go grab a tap Sacred Foundry. Okay, Kolaghan or Rift Bolt comes off suspend. Another Rift Bolt. Well, we can put the hand to empty here, which is very nice. That way we don't gotta toy around with nothing. Spectacle up top. That way if they got any kind of discard, if they hit a 2-drop here, they're diced. Unless they can gain life. They had the opportunity to. But, ooh, GG's. That's from before. Sorry, I didn't realize that. The AT's tough for them. because they can get in here and then I'm just going to go up top. Colgan's command doesn't gain life. They would need... Okay. All right, GG's. Well, we took Jung 2-0 as well. Not a bad showing from this. Let's hit the outro. Well, everybody, we ended up going 3-0 through our little testing period, which isn't a huge shock. You know, Sligh has always been a very important part of the Pioneer and, sorry, not Pioneer, pre-fire metagame during the modern period that it existed, one could say. I do think that this deck probably won't be quite as powerful as Modern was towards the end of this, you know, when this period cuts off in like early 2019. But I think it's still going to be extremely good. This deck has a ton of gas. It's very interesting playing a slower deck than we find in pre-modern. And a lot of it's made up by stuff like Monastery Swiftspear and Goblin Guide. Just a hasty 2-2 on turn 1. Just repeated damage is nasty. Eidolon the Great Revel doesn't even feel that great in this deck, but it's still very good. The multiple bolt option is what I think really sells me on this package. When you play pre-modern Sligh, you don't have many bolts. The only bolts you really have are bolt, and then you also have Fire Blast, which is better bolt. But here you got Lava Spike, which is bolt. Slower, but still bolt. You got Rift Bolt, which is bolt, just slower. Skewer the Critics is conditional bolt. Then you have actual bolt. You have better bolt, which is 2 mana, basically double shock. And then you have Helix, which is basically a 6-point life swing. Not to mention another conditional 2 mana bolt. So instead of your flex spots or your non-bolt bolts or your non-bolt burn cards, you have actual bolt substitutes. Even Skullcrack's like a build your own bolt kind of. But yeah, there's just a lot of flexibility within this card pool when it comes to being able to deal heavy damage. Fetch Shock is also enormous. You're going to see a ton of shocks here. And if your opponent's smart and doesn't shock, they're still playing a turn behind. So if you're on the draw and they're not fetch shocking, there's a strong chance that you're just playing on parity with them. And there's a strong chance that your deck's going to be able to push them over. Obviously, we're going to have a tough time against life gain. I think I'd like to see some like you can't gain life the rest of the game type of effects. Don't know what exactly kicks around in Modern with that. But I don't see a lot of other decks being able to outpace us in many senses. I do think that Dredge is going to be a legitimate issue. I think Dredge has the opportunity to outpace us. I think a lot of those dredgy type of decks, whether it's Belobies or those type of pieces, are going to be a real issue. Kitchen Finks is going to be one of our nemesis as well. But overall, I think there's a ton of upside to playing through with this deck. And I think there's going to be a ton of power packed into this deck as well. And relative to everything, let me change the price settings real quick for everybody. Relative to everything, and then I'll refresh the page. Sorry. This deck's $296. It's not bad. $300 deck. You know, I mean, Goblin Guide's gone up a little bit. Grim Lavamancer's dirt cheap. Swiftspear's dirt cheap. Eidolon's $2. Skewer's 19 cents. Rift Bolt, $4. You know, let me actually quickly go to more, and then let me just quickly update the cheapest. Not a big deal. $243. Also, these skewers look really sick in person. Very underrated. But yeah, this deck's going to be relatively cheap. The fetch lands are going to be expensive, don't get me wrong, and that kind of sucks. But you're also building a mana base if you were to buy this in person. So overall, I think that this deck is a banger. I think it's going to be a great budget entry option into the format. Not quite as budget as pre-modern, but you could play mono red Sligh and get away with it. So yeah, I'm very excited to get more run with this. There is some more flex cards I'd like to see kind of play. I know there's like additional bolt kind of things. So gonna give it a bit more time. I really enjoyed this, and I think this is going to be a great deck to play with. Also did not know they printed it's a new art of Goblin Guide on white border. Very cool looking. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed. This is going to be a little bit quicker of a video, obviously, but definitely if you're new to the format and you want to give a deck a run and you don't have a ton of money or what have you, this gives you a lot of fetch lands, which is great for your mana base, but also it just is a nice and not linear, but lower buried entry deck to give a run. So I hope everybody enjoyed. This has been 3-2 Brew, and until next time. Cheers.